Well, hello again. This is Gene Hart, and I'm posting a video today of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I love this simulator. It's been fantastic. It's been out since last August, and today we are looking at a freeware helicopter. As of now, Microsoft hasn't included any helicopters in the sim, but there's one freeware helicopter available as of July of 2021, and there's one payware helicopter that I can't wait to try. Both of them look fantastic. I've flown this one. I've had it for about a few weeks now, and I've flown it a few times, and it's a beauty. And so come along with me on a little adventure from Kitimat, British Columbia. And Kitimat, British Columbia, it's up in the mountains. It's a beautiful place, and I had thought about doing this after watching Angel a week or so ago do a video on what inspired her into the aviation hobby, and well, basically what inspired her to love aviation. And now I don't know much about her and what she does, but I know now what she does on YouTube, and she posts wonderful video reviews of aircraft. And check out her channel. I'm gonna post a link to her inspirational video that as a child she went and visited a particular place near her home with her family and did a flight, and that flight has brought about a love, as well as the flight bringing her as well as her time visiting a museum near the flight line. But what she said was she loved to hear what other enthusiasts and people who are into aviation and into Microsoft Flight Simulator, what got them into the love of it. And I got to thinking about it. I mean, I guess I've loved it ever since I was a boy. She was just a young girl at the time, but as a young boy, I was building models and always loved aviation. I didn't get into aviation so much as a career. I'm not flying aircraft in real life or professionally or that kind of thing. But I want you to look at the map here as I bring it up. What we're doing is we're going to be going along this waterway, but we're going to make a left-hand turn, and then there's 3 tributaries that go off. We're going to head through the middle one and then over through they're all going through the mountains, really is what they're doing. And we're going to be heading through the mountains, and it's a beautiful flight. And as we head through the mountains, we're going to have to actually go over some of the peaks in the mountains to get to where we're going. The destination is Kemano, and I'll tell you a little bit about that as we go. About just a little bit more. To answer Avi Sim's question, did this flight, was it the one that inspired me to get into aviation? No, I've loved it for forever, but her video inspired me to do this because it's an actual flight I've done in real life back in 2012, May of 2012. I was able to do this. And I got the map up here so you get a better look at where we're headed. So we're heading down this tributary, and we're head down. It forks off into actually 3 different streams, and we're going to be heading down the middle one for a while. Yes, so in May of 2012, I was at work. Now, I'm not a pilot, and I don't fly helicopters for real, or even airplanes or anything of that sort, but I've always loved Flight Simulator, and had actually just about every version of Flight Simulator ever existed, even when it came out, and Sublogic brought it out back in the 1980s. I had a copy of it and flew. Wonderful history with flight simulation, and it's so sad when Microsoft wasn't supporting FSX anymore and they were getting out of it. And so happy when they came back in 2020 to offer us this. This is beautiful. Look how gorgeous it is as we fly through the mountains here. But I did get into aerospace, and so for years, for 20 years, I worked for aerospace companies, and then I currently have work where I go around the country to help businesses, and I'm not going to get into detail what I do for a living, but I was sent by my company to not visit an aerospace company, but to visit a mine. So on several occasions I had to go up to Kitimat, British Columbia. You actually can't fly into Kitimat. I mean, you fly into Terrace, and then you take a bus and you drive through the mountains for an hour to get to Kitimat. There is a general aviation strip in Kitimat. If you guys want to get into Flight Simulator and fly out of Kitimat, you can with a general aviation aircraft. In fact, that's how I started out with this helicopter. In the beginning of the video, I did start out with at the airstrip. I actually started out at the company site and took off from there, because in real life what had happened, because what I'm doing is I'm reliving that day where I took a helicopter flight. I was at work at Kitimat, and I went to a meeting with a bunch of guys from the utility section of the facility. It's a mining facility. They don't actually mine ore there, but they process it there. It's an ideal place because they need a lot of electrical power to do the type of mining processing they do. And so I was at a meeting, and it was in a conference room for a few hours, and they were showing me maps on the wall of the utility plant where they get their power from, and the mountains that you have to go through to get to the plant. And then I was asking, well, how do you get there? I don't see any roads. It's 80 kilometers away. And they said, well, there isn't a road. You can't drive there. And the only way to get there, you can get there, the workers get there by boat, but it's a 4-hour boat ride. And the only other way to get there is by helicopter. And by the way, you're going to be going there tomorrow. To my surprise and complete joy, I was going to get on this helicopter ride, and that's what I did. So here we are. I'm reliving it here in Microsoft Flight Simulator with this helicopter. Of course, I was a passenger back in real life, but in this case, I'm flying this helicopter through the same mountains and heading over to Kemano. Kemano is actually Kemano is where they have the hydroelectric plant, and it's in the mountains, and it's really there's no population there, I should say, because there's no roads or anything, but there is a small population of First Nations people. In fact, the Kemano is their village and where they live. Now, when we get there, we're not going to be in their village. We're going to be in the mining camp. But there's an understanding between the First Nations people and the hydroelectric plant, and they basically allow the hydroelectric plant and the workers to be there, and in return there's some benefits to them as well. But it was an awesome flight that day, and it's kind of a nicer day here in the simulation than it was for me. I'm going to show some photos at the end of the actual flight. I don't have any video of it, but I can show some photos. It was a nice day, but this is even a little nicer day. Also, you will notice that there's some snow on the peaks. Angel had made another video where she was flying through the mountains and noticed that it was kind of weird looking, where there was like snow on half a mountain and not on the other half, and it didn't make sense because I think she was flying during, June or July, and I didn't understand that. Now, it could be that the sim, is just didn't do it right. I don't know that we have seasons yet. In fact, I think there's an add-on now for seasons, but it's coming pretty soon. But some of the things that came to my mind was there was snow on the mountain peaks in May, and in a lot of these places there's snow on the mountain peaks all year long. They never completely melt, and when they do melt, they'll melt on the south side. But so you can look at a mountain, the north side would be covered in snow, and the south side is going to be clear. I don't really see that here in this flight. And I didn't see it in the actual flight. Basically, in the actual flight, I saw a lot of snow on the mountaintops, and that's all I saw. And going all the way down. I think there was some fresh snow at the time too, if I remember. But it is a beautiful, beautiful flight, and as you can see, as we're going along. Now, I'm not the best pilot for helicopter flying in the sim. I started to spend some time in X-Plane 11 doing some helicopter flying, and when I got this helicopter for Microsoft Flight Simulator, it was quite different. Now, the helicopter flight in X-Plane 11, a lot of people who reviewed it said it was probably the closest simulation to reality for helicopter flights. I wouldn't know, but it was very difficult. And this just feels different. I have it in basic. I don't have it in advanced. I tried it in advanced, but with advanced, you really need pedals because you get a little bit of a torque and you need that pedal. I don't have pedals. I'm just using a joystick for the rudder to twist, and it's just too hard to do the cyclic with the joystick while you're twisting it with the rudder. I mean, and I'm not even good in basic. I'm actually going through some turbulence right now as we fly through these mountains. I've come to the end of that one stream coming off the mountain because I went up the middle, forked off and took the middle one, and the only way now I think is to go over the top. And so we're going to kind of make our way over the top of this to head off into the next stream, which will take us into Kemano. But actually, right now the turbulence isn't so bad. But as I was going up, it was bad. And, I'm not sure what Microsoft does to simulate that. I was feeling it, and I was really struggling with the helicopter. Getting through these mountains with some of the turbulence at some points, not all the way. But I know one of my things about when Microsoft Flight Simulator released this product back a year ago was a couple of my favorite things as far as aircraft goes. Helicopters and gliders weren't supported and weren't part of the sim. Now we got the helicopter, and there's also freeware for a glider. The difficulty is, though, you can see the turbulence I'm going through now. I'm really struggling to fly this thing, believe it or not. The difficulty with the glider is there's no thermals, or maybe there is, but they're not. Maybe they're not correctly simulated. I don't know, but I was flying the glider around Hawaii, and the freeware has a link to another piece of software that you can build your own thermals. I hadn't tried that yet, but there's something going on here, I may try doing a glider flight in near mountains and see if Microsoft isn't starting to put some updrafts in or something. But there's something going on. At least there's a lot of turbulence I'm fighting at this moment. I don't know that I could say that they're thermals, but there's just a lot of movement. And once again, I am not really good. I've got this a week or so ago, and I've done a lot of, well, I think I've done some practice with it. I shouldn't say a lot of practice, but I'm just not good at it yet. I was watching Ava Angel fly a helicopter, and she did such a beautiful job of it. And she was saying what I was saying, that she didn't feel really confident like she does with the aircraft, but she did a beautiful job flying it. As she reviewed this, I think it was this helicopter she was reviewing at the time. And anyway, we're coming in now. I got down a little further into the mountains. It's getting a little more stable. But I definitely can see how it bounces me up and down a bit. And, you know, so in real life, when I did this trip back in 2012, did I bounce around a little bit? Not like, a little bit. There was a little bit of turbulence. We actually took a different route going into Kemano because the weather, the turbulence was too much going through the mountains on the way in. But on the way back, we took this route because they said the weather cleared up enough that we can cut through the mountains. And it's like a 40-minute to 45-minute trip going just all the way around the waterway. And then going through the mountains, it's only like a 30-minute trip or so, a 35-minute trip. And that's exactly what it ended up being when I flew it in the simulator. About the whole recording ended up being 38 minutes, but that's what all, starting it up and all that stuff, and spending a lot of time trying to land it and other things I was doing. But the actual flight was just about 30 minutes or so. Obviously, I clipped through and edited a good 10 minutes out of that. Actually, about about 18 to 20 minutes I edited out of it because I didn't want you to have to sit through the whole flight. And I don't know that I had enough to say through all that. I just wanted you to kind of experience this wonderful, beautiful helicopter, this gorgeous area in British Columbia. These streams where the locals told me that people come from all over the world to go to Kitimat to do fly fishing and to do steelhead fishing and salmon. When salmon is in season and they're running, they're so thick coming through these streams. It's incredible. And I wasn't there during the salmon season where they were running up, but there was definitely fishermen there fishing these streams at the time. And unfortunately I had to work and I wasn't out there fly fishing, but these are gorgeous mountains to fly through, and that was the one thing that was a blessing. Now, you can see there's some morphing and stretching of the mountains as the simulator doesn't quite get everything beautifully looking, and you get some, bad looking spots. Other people have mentioned that too, but, it's so gorgeous elsewhere that, you don't really mind some of this other. And everything seems to be getting better with every update. In my case, I remember in the actual flight, the helicopter came up. There's Kemano right below us. You can see to the right. There's the camp for the hydroelectric plant, where the workers have to stay there for weeks at a time. They come in and they just live on site for several weeks, and then then they're relieved for a few weeks, and, so they go back and forth that way. So they're on camp. It's a typical mining type camp. It's the same thing at Kitimat. They have a camp there. They have people from out of country coming from probably the United States and Mexico, and they live there at the camp. But I remember in the actual flight, the helicopter came right over the helicopter pad, not like I'm doing. I'm circling around the mountain here trying to figure out what I'm doing. But he came right in and went straight down, and remind me of that scene in Jurassic Park where they get into Jurassic Park with the helicopter the first time, and they're hovering about 1,000 feet off the deck, and they just go straight down. That's exactly what this guy did. I wish I could do that. Even in simulation, I can't do it. I've been circling around here trying to just to get my balance out, and I struggle. Now notice as I finally get to where I get my speed way down on the artificial horizon on the right there below it's my compass, and a green dot shows up. That green ball, when you slow down enough, it will show up and pop in and out. And what I'm trying to do is slow down, get to the point where I want to hover and get that green ball in the center of the compass, and then you can drop. And I have it's just such a struggle for me. And where I want to be is, see that string of buildings is a kind of a gray parking area. That's the helipad there. It's kind of hard to see. You'll see in a minute that in like a Google Maps, there's actually a red spot from a helicopter, a red and white helicopter that the one that flew me is actually there in like Google Maps, and you'll see it in the parking lot as like a splatter of paint or something, and that's where I'm going to try to land. But yeah, once I get into this hover mode, boy, I start swishing to the left and the right and going back and then going forward and rocking back and forward. So I got that green ball right in front of me right now, and that means I'm moving forward, but I'm sliding too much to the left. And that parking lot is just right straight ahead and a little, yeah, so I got the ball right where I want it, but I'm not where I want to be. So I need to go forward a little, and that's where I get into trouble. So they say it's very sensitive and most people overreact. Well, that's me. I overreact. And here you see, overreact, and I actually set myself down. Look at that. I missed. I set myself down here in the grass. So let's go back up again and try this again. So yeah, any tips on how to fly? I don't think there's any tips I don't know. It's really practice, and so you can see that kind of where the helicopter image is from. Actually, as you go up and you look down, you can see that it is a helicopter image, but right now it just looks like a splatter of paint. And yeah, that black circle in the middle is actually where the rotors would be. It looks like some grass grew up there. But here we go. Yeah, I tapped my tail on that. But hey, I did it. I'm down. I'm happy to say I relived this trip to Kemano. And I'll never forget that day, and I'll never forget that flight. There was an awesome helicopter ride through the snow-capped mountains. And boy, it was enjoyable, and what beautiful scenery. And it was one of those for me once in a lifetime things that I was able to do, and so happy to do it. And I never even thought about reliving it in simulation until Angel mentioned hearing about what other people did that inspired them in aviation. And when she was reliving a day in her life, when she took a flight with her dad, her and her dad as passengers, and you know, they took a flight around the area where they vacation. But look at the beautiful mountains here. So this is it. This is the Kemano area. We'll go over to the camp. It's on the other side of the river here as you go over the road. Roads don't always make it above the water in the Microsoft Flight Simulator. Off to the left, you see a couple buildings that look kind of like brick towers. Actually, that shouldn't be buildings like that. It's the opening into the mountain where the hydroelectric plant is. It's a big tunnel, and you have to. It's a big gaping hole, and you walk through that tunnel about 100 yards until you get into the plant, the hydroelectric plant itself. I can't describe to you how cool it is in there. If you maybe just Google hydroelectric plant, you can maybe see the inside of one. Huge generators are in there. So here's the camp. There's not a lot of buildings there. And then I took a trip down this road, saw a lot of wildlife, some bear. There's actually black bear that I saw, and they said, you know, this late in the season, it's unusual to see black bear because the grizzlies come down and chase them off. But, you know, eventually that gets down to the larger waterway where the boat comes in. There's a boat dock back down, and then the workers would come back up, and they'll stay at the camp here. But what a beautiful place. I'm using the showcase camera for all this. This building here is, the buildings aren't identical, but that one over there is where the kind of all the rooms where the people could stay, so we each get a room, of course. And this building to the right is the dining hall and the cafeteria, and I was able to eat there and then walk out back here and actually saw some wildlife. There's some strange looking animals running around. They look like mink. I forgot what they call them, but they're cute little things. But what a beautiful area it was, stepping out the back of this area and this dining hall after lunch and taking a look and seeing the river. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and I got a few pictures here for you to end the video with, so you can see what my flight looked like in reality back when. And you'll see here there's a lot of snow on these mountains, and this is in the middle of May of 2012, and I imagine most of that snow stays throughout the year. But beautiful flight, beautiful scenery. And then a picture of me in the helicopter, and a picture of me standing in front of the helicopter ready to take off and head back to Kitimat at the end of the day. So hopefully you enjoyed reliving my experience with me, and you're enjoying your own adventures in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Catch you next time.